This is Transforce96 here with another video. I'm going to be talking about some new hot toys that were shown from Rogue One. In this video, I'm specifically talking about the Donnie Yen Hot Toys figure, as well as the Baze Malbus, I believe is how you pronounce his last name, figures. And then also K-2SO. So I did decide to, obviously more than just these were shown, but I did decide to kind of split them up into several videos because I have a bit more to say about certain characters and things like that. So I'm doing this video. I'm also going to do a video on the new troopers that were shown, and I'm going to do a video specifically for Chirrut because I have a bit to say about her. So let's get started though. Very excited for this. I was really had my fingers crossed that they were going to do a Donnie Yen Hot Toys figure, and luckily they did a preview for him a few weeks back, and now of course we have the full figure on display. They actually have two figures on display. They have one posed in a diorama, and then they also have just one standing, just so that you can actually see the full figure. But as you can see, pose looks really nice here, and it gives you a good idea at the range of motion. It looks like, based on his baggy pants, he's going to have really nice motion in the thigh area and knees. Ankles, I'm not seeing much of an ankle pivot there. There might be a bit, but I don't think it's going to be very extreme. Based on the other pose that we see, I believe that he'll have pretty decent elbow articulation. The only thing that's kind of unseen for me is the shoulders. The shoulders might be a bit hindered, or they might have some decent range. We'll have to see. And the torso, I can't tell the torso from these pictures either. But for the other joints, it looks like there's a solid range of motion, and of course the head is going to have some good motion. But as you can see, just they have an awesome display set up, and they have you know, Donnie Yen here in the middle fighting stormtroopers. Then there's K-2SO just kind of walking up, and then we have Baze. Oh, he's in the corner over here. Yeah, we're not going to get a good shot of him. Here we go. Here's Baze down here, actually. Alright, so to talk about the figure that they have standing up here, and I'll get a closer look at these head sculpts for you as well. Oh, I'm also going to be talking about C2B5. I had to pull his name up here, that Astromech. You know, I don't think it's very interesting, but I will mention it. So here's the Donnie Yen figure, actually looking quite nice. I do like the pose that they have him in quite a bit, holding the staff there, the stick. I think that looks very cool. And the costume itself looks like there's lots of layering going on, and it looks like it hangs very nicely. I'll be really interested to see if there is a wire towards the end of that skirt there. That would be quite interesting to see. Also, the feet. The feet seem to have like this curved up type of thing, where the shoe kind of curves up, which, I mean, it looks fine, but it is a bit annoying. I have found with the Bruce Banner figure, he has that same type of foot design, and it's kind of weird. He seems awkward with it, so I'm not a big fan of having the toes kind of curled up on Hot Toys figures. I don't think that they work really well. And as you can see from this image, we do have a nice look at the base, which is a standard base, and it will have the artwork of Donnie Yen on there as well, which is very cool. I like the idea of putting the artwork on the bases. And then we have his gun there, which is kind of like a bow and arrow, crossbow type of gun, which looks very cool, and it folds up on his back, as you can see, and obviously he'll be able to hold it as well. Then we have Baze here. Baze is looking really nice. Baze was the one that I wasn't sure if they were going to do, because I figured for sure we get Jin, K-2SO, Cassian, and then they showed the preview of Donnie Yen a few weeks back, so I knew that they were going to get him. But then the other members, like Baze and Riz Ahmed's character, I was not quite sure if we were going to get. But as you can see, we do have an official confirmation on Baze here, seeing the full figure. I think this figure looks quite nice. It has lots of baggy proportions, which is very accurate to the movie. Which means he should have good articulation. The only place where I think that's going to be very hindered on articulation is the neck. Just based on the fact that he has a big collar piece and he has big hair. I think that's going to hinder the neck articulation severely. I'd be surprised if he get a very good swivel on that thing, to be honest. And then his gun, obviously it attaches to the backpack through a very thick type of like ammo clip. So it'll be interesting to see how much articulation that gun has, as far as like how much you can move it without the wire kind of snapping it back. So that'll be interesting to see. Hopefully you can get him in some decent poses. So he might be a little hard to pose, to be honest, just based on the fact that you can't move the neck, and then you're restricted as to where you can put the gun, most likely. We'll have to see though. One issue that I have with this figure is the ankles. He obviously has very baggy pants on, but then it comes to a screeching halt, and you get these insanely skinny ankles, which are just they're too skinny. I mean, a person's leg couldn't fit in there. It looks ridiculous. So I really hope they bulk that up, but I'm not quite sure if they will. I've seen this on a different figure, which maybe it was the Pepper Potts figure. There was another figure from Hot Toys that had these like really skinny ankles, which just looked really odd. So I think that it was Pepper Potts, if I'm not mistaken. So I hope that they do fix this one, because if I'm not mistaken, they didn't fix Pepper Potts. So that is a bit of a shame. Then, before I talk about the head sculpts on these two, let's talk about K-2SO and the Astromech. Again, I'll be talking about Jin in a separate video. Alright, so here's K-2SO looking great. I was pretty sure that they were going to make him, and I was very excited for him. I like the design of this droid a lot in the movie, and I think that his character is going to be quite cool as well. And this is just looking fantastic. As you can see, very thin proportions. To be honest, Hot Toys, out of all of these, the one that looks the least like a Hot Toys figure is definitely going to be this one, because most companies can do a pretty good K-2SO, just because he's a very, simple design as far as it's just simple panels and things like that, with no face sculpt or things like that. You really can't get that Hot Toys feel of it. However, I'm hoping that it'll articulate very special and have a Hot Toys feel to it, even if it doesn't necessarily have a Hot Toys look. But it does look quite nice. I'm liking it quite a bit here. He obviously comes with a gun, which we haven't seen him use a gun in the trailer, but we did see a prototype for the Black Series K-2SO came with a gun, which never made it to retail. So we did know that he was going to use a gun sometime in the movie. But as you can see, looking quite nice. It looks relatively weathered, but it doesn't look like there's a tremendous amount. However, this picture is a bit far away. The eyes look a bit dead. That's one thing I don't like about Hot Toys figures, is when you don't have the lights on, they just kind of look dead. That happened with Ultron Prime and things like that. So I wish that they would give you an interchangeable eyes to put in when you're not using the lights, but you still want it to look like they're lit up, so they'd have like white paint on them. That would be really nice, but unfortunately without it, it just looks like he's like deactivated, which is a shame. However, this figure is looking quite good, and as far as how tall it is, it looks very tall. I'm thinking it's about 15.5 inches, maybe 15 inches tall. Not 100% sure on that height, but it's looking very tall. And the Death Troopers are actually quite tall as well. So this guy's going to be about 15.5 inches tall, most likely, which is quite tall. Then here is C2B5. C2B5 is just a black painted R2-D2 basically. I doubt he'll really do anything in the movie. My guess is he's just, one of the Astromechs that's on the Death Star. So when, Jin and Cassian and K-2SO are going undercover, they'll probably run into this guy, but I don't think he's going to be like an actual character in the movie. I think he's just going to be more of a background piece, to be honest. He might get one shot to showcase him, but other than that, I don't think this is actually going to be anything in the movie, to be honest. So I'm not, that doesn't tempt me in the slightest. Alright, let's talk about the head sculpts on these. Sorry, that's my background. Alright, so here's some good pictures. So, the head sculpts on these two, I think are looking great. I have to say, I think that Donnie Yen's head sculpt looks excellent. I am a big fan that they gave his mouth open slightly. I think that looks really good. It adds some character to it. And I think that the eyes look excellent. They look like, he's got that cloudiness effect because he's blind. And I think that looks very cool. I'm very happy with it. As well as, in this picture, you can see now that the sleeves rolled up that there's some decent sculpting in the hands there. You can see some veins and things like that. And there's a bit of redness in the knuckles, maybe from punching one too many stormtroopers or something. But there's also veins on his arms. So they did specifically sculpt arms for this Donnie Yen figure, which is really cool. I definitely like that quite a bit, because, it would be a shame if the sleeve rolled up and it was just a generic true type arm. So I am very happy that they did sculpt, skin texture on that arm there. So that's looking fantastic. A big fan of that head sculpt. I like the expression a lot, and I think that the head sculpt itself is wonderful. Then we go to Baze, and I think Baze is just as good. I think that the head sculpt looks tremendous as well, and I do like the expression. He's got that kind of almost like a worried or unsure type of look, which I've seen the character look like in the movie several times in the trailers. So I'm definitely digging this head sculpt. I think that it not only looks like the actor and looks like the actor in this role, but has that expression that fits the character, I think. And considering what we've heard, this character is a bit of trying to figure out where he belongs almost, without saying too much, but I like this head sculpt quite a bit, and I'm a big fan of it. So I think that they nailed these two head sculpts, which just makes them getting Chirrut's head sculpt wrong that much more disappointing, because they did these so perfectly. But I'm really liking these a lot. As far as which ones I'm going to get out of all four of these, you know, Donnie Yen, Baze, K-2SO, and the Astromech. The Astromech I'm skipping without hesitation. I have no interest in it. Donnie Yen and K-2SO I think are must-haves for me. And then Baze is a probably. I'm probably going to pick up Baze. I'm not 100% sure. I think the figure looks really nice, and the more I see him in the movie, the more I'm excited for his character. But I'm going to wait to see the movie before I pull the trigger on him, though, just to make sure that I definitely want him. But Donnie Yen and K-2SO are must-haves for me. So there you go. That's my video talking about those 4 Rogue One Hot Toys figures that were just shown. I did make a separate video talking about some of the new stormtroopers, or some of the new troopers that were shown, and I am going to be making a video talking about Chirrut in particular. So let me know what you guys think of these figures, and thanks so much for watching.